Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany Eddy.
And I'm Tom Praisall.
And we are so pleased to welcome you to another episode of
Anything But Politics,
where we talk really pretty much with different political figures and notables, really,
about anything but politics.
which is so much fun.
It is a lot of fun, and I think today's episode is going to be really fun because we're here today with a state senator in his third term, although from different districts.
Yes.
And he is
Has anyone done that before?
It's
Been a senator from two different districts?
That's
I don't
a really
know.
good question.
Yeah, it is.
We should look that up.
Yeah.
But
But it's politics, so we'll leave that.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll do that on our own time.
All right.
But you're currently the chairman of the all-powerful Senate Commerce Committee.
Yeah.
And also vice chairman of the Senate Finance Committee.
Yes, indeed.
So
it was an exciting year.
Without further ado, we'll welcome Senator Dan Innis.
All right. Thanks. It's great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity. You guys have a good rapport. I like the way you started, one back and forth to the other. Like you know what you're doing.
It's a lot of practice.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
We rehearsed like 15 times just to get that one down, I think.
Yeah, and that's just today.
Yeah.
But
right.
no, I think, let's learn
Like an
a little.
Abbott and Costello thing. You should get that going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But let's learn a little bit about you.
Okay.
So
What do you want to know?
Born in Columbus, Ohio.
Beautiful Columbus, Ohio, Riverside Hospital on April 7th, 1963, 5:01 p.m.
Good
Oh,
Aries.
wow.
Yeah, good Aries, right smack in the middle, so I got a temper.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I definitely do. It's one of my biggest weaknesses, probably.
So your parents, obviously, what did they do for work that brought them to Ohio?
Well, that's actually where we started. So it goes all the way back to the American Revolution. And one of my ancestors, Colonel Innis, fought in the Revolution. He was paid with land in the state of Ohio, the northeast corridor of Franklin County, which is where Columbus is located. So if you go back there, you'll see an Innis Road, Innis Street. We're there. And that's where the first farm was. And then as the city grew, the family moved a little northeast of there to Sunbury. And my great-grandparents and grandfather had a farm there. And then farming skipped my dad, and I brought it back. But growing up in Ohio, it's so different, from New Hampshire. And we moved out of Columbus, I guess, let's see, it would have been mid-'70s. And we moved southeast. I graduated high school in Lancaster, Ohio, modest-sized city of about 25,000 people. But my mother's roots are in Lancaster, Ohio, Wentz and Hummels. And, so I'm German and Scottish, which gives me a bad temper and a love for bland food.
Yeah. And a good tan.
And I love beer and Scotch. So, yeah, it's all good. But, Columbus was a little big city when I was a kid. And now it's just a big city. And I don't even really recognize it anymore. And while Ohio's a great state, I absolutely love New Hampshire. We're the freest state in the nation, the lowest tax burden in the country outside of Alaska, and beautiful landscape, wonderful people. It's just a great place to be, and this is home. This is home.
I'm wondering, so how did you end up, obviously growing up and you have this incredible heritage in Ohio, but then what brought you up here to New Hampshire?
Yeah, it's interesting because I did my doctoral work at Ohio State University, and then Ohio University hired me for my first faculty job, and that's where I did my undergrad. So it was really wild to go back there. I gradually worked my way up. I became associate dean at age 35, really young for an associate dean, and I wanted to be dean there. Nothing better than being dean at your undergraduate alma mater. Well, a faculty member came in one day and she said, Dan, I know you want to be dean, but you won't be, not here. And I said, well, why not, Mary? And she said, because too many of us remember you as our student, and we cannot have a former student of ours as our dean.
That's fair.
So I took that and I said, all right. So I tossed my hat out into the ether and ended up at the University of Maine in 2002 as dean, and did a pretty good job there to the point UNH had a headhunter, walks into my office at the University of Maine one August day, and he says, UNH is looking for a dean of business. I think you should take a look at it. And one thing led to another, and that's how I ended up here. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. I got to UNH, and we were able to build the Paul College with the help of Peter Paul. But it is the only academic building ever built at UNH with no state money.
Oh,
and
wow.
I couldn't be more proud of that. I mean, I think that's a huge accomplishment. But it sort of is what I'm about. My parents taught us to be independent, to be self-sufficient, and to get out there and do things and make it happen, even if it's hard. And it was that upbringing, I think, that really helped me to get that done. And the benefits to this state have been huge. We doubled business school enrollment. And those are students that are going to graduate, be trained in business right here in our state. So yeah, that's how I ended up here. It's
Well,
circuitous, but
I have a question because you said you were in Maine. Now you have a brother that lives in Maine, right?
no, my son lives in Maine.
Oh, I'm sorry, your son
my
lives
middle
in Maine.
the middle child, second son, lives in Maine. He's in Topsom, right next to Brunswick, and he teaches high school science at Mount Ararat.
I think he had one of my client, Curtis Picard's son.
Okay,
Remember,
that's
I think
possible.
we made
Yeah,
that
I think we talked about
conversation,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and the other son's in Rhode Island now, Cranston. He works at Roger Williams as a faculty, and his wife is an attorney in Boston. And they're just this power couple. It's like, Jesus, you guys.
Yeah.
And how old are your kids?
The oldest son, let's see, he is 33. Second one is 31, and my daughter is 25. She's in Farmington, New Hampshire. Her husband works at Sig Sauer, and she ain't leaving this state. She's fallen in love with New Hampshire. I got her down here from Maine. All three of my kids went to UNH, and across the three, we have 5 UNH degrees.
Oh,
And
wow.
I believe in that university wholeheartedly. It's got some issues, of course. You know, it's a little too woke, but, you know, it's a fine place, and it's treated me well. Yeah.
And so while you were at as the dean,
You remember Hennigan's from Seinfeld?
yes,
Yeah, I think this is Hennigan's. What is it? No smell, no tell scotch.
Yeah.
We only serve the best alcohol.
yeah. No, so while you were at UNH, I believe at some point you purchased a hotel.
Yeah, we did a couple inns in a hotel with my ex-husband, and we started with what was the Bow Street Inn. The place was a complete disaster. I guess I like buying disaster places and fixing them. But
You're a
we went
fixer.
in,
Yeah.
did a complete renovation. We were broke when it opened. I put together the furniture, right? You
Yeah.
know, it was delivered by truck. We put the furniture together. We hurried to get it open, and we made it go. It was a truly unique place. And as we built it out, we built it sort of around beer because it was in an old beer warehouse on the water in Portsmouth. And we started advertising on Facebook. And on Facebook, you can do really targeted ads. You know, put this in front of people from these zip codes who like beer, right? And all of a sudden, we get young people coming. 25 to 45 was pretty much our target. And no kids. They're welcome, but, you know, wasn't really conducive to that. And we did an analysis several years in, and we found that our number one zip code for guests, you want to guess what city it was or state?
Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
No, not even close.
Manchester?
No, Brooklyn, New York.
Wow.
And the reason is that we were hip and cool. And after we got that first Brooklyn set there, they told the story. And that was our number one zip code at the Ale House Inn. So we turned the Bow Street Inn into the Ale House Inn, and that went really well. We sold that and bought the old Sice Inn on Court Street in Portsmouth, also run down. Again, why not? We'll fix it up and try to make it go. And we put a lot into that and flipped it around and made it beautiful, honestly, and sold that one. And then did the Great Island Inn in Newcastle. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's a great business to be in, particularly in this state. And there's nothing better than making people happy, right? I mean, that's what it was for me. And you know, I think I've sort of approached life that way. I want to make the students happy. I want to make the state happy. I want my constituents to be happy. Sorry, it's no politics. But,
fine.
you know, I just like seeing people happy. And that's the best business in the world to be in, to do that.
And you know, go ahead.
Oh, no, well, I was just wondering, like, you talked a little bit about, you know, politics, and you are a politician as
Sort
well
of,
as
yeah.
a farmer,
Yeah.
which we'll get to. But what was it that made you first want to run for office? Like, what inspired you?
You know, it's interesting that you asked that. I haven't thought about it in a while. It was similar to this Senate run. You get a phone call, and they say, you know, would you be interested in doing this? You got a pretty high profile in the state of New Hampshire. You seem articulate enough, and maybe you could do this. So you have the conversations. You say, all right, let's go. Looking back at that one, ran it pretty well, but I was a first-time candidate, didn't know what the heck I was doing. I knew the state well, but I didn't know how you run for, you know, federal office. But it was a great learning experience. I did well, and that really, I've always been interested in politics. For those watching or listening who are old enough to remember, there was the show Family Ties with Alex
P. Keaton.
Yeah.
Love that.
They called me Alex in college because I was just like him. right? This little Republican guy wandering around yelling at everyone for what they're doing wrong, right? I haven't changed.
No, I can attest to that.
I haven't changed a bit. But, that's how I got into it. Someone came to me and said, we think you'd be a good candidate. You have the discussions and you go from there. Really glad I did it because it set me up to help the state and to get into the state Senate in District 24 at the time. And that was enormously rewarding. And I know it's not politics, but I bet I was the last Republican senator from that district for a long time. So,
District 24,
Yeah.
And, as somebody myself who's worked on a number of campaigns over the years, it's a grueling process.
It is.
And I think that anyone getting engaged or getting involved in politics should work on a campaign because you learn what it's like to just eat, sleep, and breathe your candidate and voters. And I found it to be incredibly rewarding, and it's helped me immensely.
It is rewarding, and you've got to have a little ADHD to do it.
Sure.
Right? All right, you're here now. 15 minutes, you're over there. You got to flip your brain to a completely different script.
Yep.
And it's fascinating. And I think, being a professor, you kind of get good at the speaking part of it and connecting with people and understanding them. And I think too many folks everywhere don't listen enough. And I'm guilty of that too. But if we can just listen a little more, we'd learn a lot more. We might get along better too. We just might.
And I mean, obviously, you're an exceptional speaker, but what would you say is your best asset that you bring to the table as someone in the Senate and someone running for the Senate?
I think it's probably the fact that I'm a pretty quick study. I can look at a situation, look at the information that goes with it, and quickly reach a conclusion. Sometimes it's wrong, but more often than not, I've got it right. And I think that's really helped me. It's helped me at the university. It's helped me in business. If you can quickly view a landscape, think about chess, right? You've got these chess masters. They look at a board and they figured it out in seconds, right? Unless they're playing a novice and then they're like, what's he doing? I don't know, right?
That's me.
Yeah. So Spencer's really good at chess. My husband, I'm not so much. I don't have patience.
Yeah.
But that's the way it is for me. As you get older, ideally you do get wiser, and your ability to integrate new information into your existing memories improves if you keep active. You've got to stay mentally active, though, and that, to me, is crucial. I've watched too many people I know and love retire and then lose their edge, and I'm not going to do that. I have no intention to retire until people say to me, it's time, get the hell out. I'm going to keep at it because I love what I'm doing.
Yeah, and you certainly have stayed active, but I want to go back to the hotels real quick because you also, it was really interesting to hear you talk about the marketing side because you teach marketing and hospitality.
Correct.
So this was right in your alley. Did you teach that before purchasing the properties?
Well, marketing, yes. Hospitality management, no. And that was something that I got into when I stepped out of the dean's role. My home department is marketing. And that was where everybody thought I'd go. But it turns out that hospitality needed a faculty member when I stepped out of the dean's role. And I said, hey, will you guys take me? And they voted on it and brought me in. And I really dove into that. I teach revenue management and pricing. I've taught introduction to hospitality. I'm teaching hospitality operations and analytics this spring, intro to marketing, a couple sections of that. So, I'm sort of a utility infielder, in a sense, for marketing and hospitality. And they kind of plug me where I can go. I have entrepreneurial marketing this fall, which is a fun course. It's non-business majors. And they come in and they don't know what you're talking about. And it's really fascinating. It's because they're coming in from communications, sometimes engineering. And it's such a unique group. And the fact that they're thinking entrepreneurially is huge. And it's that sort of contribution that higher education makes to the state, whether it's community colleges or the university system or SNU or Dartmouth. It's really preparing people to think and making them, helping them to be more rounded, but more importantly, to get out there and help build our economy, build businesses, hire people, contribute to the state. And that to me is what it's about. That's one of the reasons I'm in higher ed. I want to contribute and give back. And when I'm gone, I want people to say, what he did was all right. That's all I want. Eventually they'll forget us all.
Yeah.
But, for at least a decade, it'd be nice if people say, oh, yeah, that Innis guy, he was all right.
So, question though. So you're in the Senate right now, the New Hampshire Senate. You're running for U.S. Senate. You're teaching multiple classes. So when do you sleep? Are you running a farm?
Yeah.
So are you a vampire? Like,
I'm about to become one, I think. I think when you love what you're doing, it's not work. And nothing that I'm doing is work. Nothing. The farm is beautiful. It's therapeutic. This morning before I came into Concord, I did a hike through our woods, and it's got a nice steep climb. You get up there all out of breath, but you're with nature and the beauty of this great state, and there's nothing better. To be out there peaceful, quiet, and just fighting the flies.
So I do want to talk about the farm, because you went from making people happy every day owning the hotel, right?
We make the cattle happy every day.
Well,
now.
I was going to say.
Yeah, happy cow.
Farming
happy cow, happy
seems
life.
to me like somewhat of a thankless job, because they're happy, right? You know, but you have what, 250 chickens?
Yeah, a couple hundred chickens.
You've got some
30 head of Wagyu now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Goats.
Yeah, we have goats. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But we do. Yeah.
And
they
you
make
gotta-
Spencer happy. He loves his goats. I'm just like, man.
they're cute.
They're cute, but they're also obnoxious. I mean, they'll eat anything, literally anything. And they're always trying to get out. Doesn't matter how big your fence is, they're going to find a way. But I admire them. They're clever. Yeah.
But walk me through your typical day on the farm.
Well,
Because it sounds like you said.
Spencer does 80% of the farm work.
Okay.
And that's just how it has to be given all the things I'm doing. And we knew going in it was going to be that way, right? He loves it. He's the animal whisperer. We have a bull who 3 weeks ago decided he was a man, and he hates everyone now. And I mean, I'm serious. Not politics, but if you go to the website for the campaign, I won't even say the URL. But if you go,
you're allowed to.
All right,
Go
it's
for it.
votedaninnis.com. You'll see the first video we did, and at the end is that bull pawing at the dirt and just being a jerk. So he does that to everyone except Spencer. And Spencer is fine. And that's who Spencer is. He works with these animals. They trust him. They love him. At least until the first one goes to market next month.
Yeah.
But he's got a real knack for it. And my grandparents did farming right. The animals were treated well with respect. And that's what we do. We practice regenerative agriculture, all organic, and we treat our animals with respect because that's what they deserve. And honestly, a happy, healthy animal tastes better.
Yeah.
So that's what we're driving toward. And I think every animal should have a great life. We are sort of the top of the food chain, and it's part of our responsibility to take care of them and to make sure that they don't suffer. Too many animals, the stuff you buy in the grocery store, is coming off of a feedlot.
Yeah.
It's shoulder to shoulder with other cattle and eating garbage. We'll never do that.
But
Never.
you mentioned you do 20% of the farming. So tell me
Yeah.
a little bit about the 20%. Is it getting the eggs that everyone talks about at the State House? Or?
Yeah, it is that. But I'm sort of, again, on the farm, I'm sort of a utility infielder like I am at UNH.
Okay.
So what needs done? I'm the brush hog guy. I'm the snowplow guy. Occasionally the egg guy. Clean the barn guy. Take care of the outside of the house guy. And clean the house guy, because Spencer doesn't see dirt. It doesn't exist in Spencer Wyand's world. So that's kind of the role I play. Whatever needs done that's sort of outside the normal routine, I'm the guy who picks that up. Yeah. But I absolutely love it. You go out there and you do that work, and it brings you down from all the stuff we deal with here in Concord or even at UNH, and it just helps you reconnect with nature and with the things that really matter the most. And the people in Bradford I'm getting emotional, but they are phenomenal. They embraced us when we came in. I mean, it was funny because when we first moved there, there was a big post on Facebook. These two gay guys from New York City are buying Battles Farm, and they're going to tear down the house and put up a McMansion. You're sort of like, what? So I responded to that, and I told them who we were and what we were doing, and all of a sudden the tenor changed. They were still upset the house had to come down, but when they saw what we did, we built a house that matched the angles on the barn. It's solar. We did everything right. And that community has just embraced us.
Yeah.
And whenever we've had a problem or questions, we just go to an old farmer in town and they help us out. I swear I'm going to write a book, The Old Men of Bradford. And anyone from Bradford watching this knows what I'm talking about. The Old Men of Bradford, the most fascinating men in the world. It's just a really interesting part of the state with amazing folks. I really like it. One of the things we do have, though, is about 30% of our homes there are seasonal. And those are homes that really don't have families in them. And I think that sort of suggests the problem we have in the state in a lot of ways. But, you know, it is a great place to be. And the farm is gorgeous. It's 153 acres. It was the old Battles farm. It used to be a dairy farm. And it's been great to bring it back. And I think the community really appreciates what we've done. The barn was falling in. It was built in 1800. And the center beam across the top at the peak is an old Bradford king pine. It is a single board that's like 75 feet long. It's just absolutely amazing. You don't get those anymore.
Yeah.
And that barn, we had to jack it up. We literally jacked it up. We poured new concrete footers, new support posts, all new first floor flooring, new siding on 2 sides. And it ate a lot of money, but it was worth it, worth every penny of it. And when you come out and you drive by it on Center Road, it's just an iconic barn. And I'm really, really pleased we could bring that back for the community and make it work again. And that's so important. We don't have enough farms here. So I'm doing a monologue. I'm going to stop and let you guys talk. But,
Well, I have a chicken question.
yeah,
As
They're-
someone-
they are that dumb. Yeah. They might be dumber than that.
Yeah, they're not the brightest ones. But I used to have chickens,
Yeah.
and then the bear would eat the chickens. But do you
Bobcats will eat the chickens.
everybody eats the chickens.
So we have a couple Great Pyrenees that are outside. They're the protectors, and they take care of everybody.
They do.
Yeah, they really do. They're fascinating animals, and they're beautiful.
Yeah.
We have one boy and one girl, and they're constantly on patrol. And there's a guy online. He does a human version of dogs, and he picks a breed, and then he behaves as that breed. So he has one where he's Great Pyr, and he's standing out at the corner of his house, and he says, "Southwest corner, clear.
Yeah.
2 feet from southwest corner, clear." And that's what they do. They go through the pasture, especially at night, and they communicate with one another. One will be at one end, one will be at the other. And it's really, really cool. They are beautiful dogs and such great personalities.
Yeah, they
but
are.
don't mess with them. Wild turkey got in there. They won't bother the chickens, but a wild turkey came in, didn't make it out. And they're protecting their flock and the goats. And
So how do they know to protect the chickens? That the turkey's bad, but the chicken's good?
yeah, I think because we introduced them to them, right?
Okay.
So when you bring them to the farm, we got there the first time, and then the chickens started coming. We got the dogs right in with them and made sure they understood these are things to protect. And given their nature and their breed, they pick right up on that.
Yep.
And that's how it worked. It's really, I've never been around a Great Pyrenees until we got the farm. I'm really impressed with these dogs. Great personalities. Yeah, and
Big,
smart.
too.
Smart. Yeah, they're big. About 100 pounds, 110 on the males. The females probably 80. But
Okay.
yeah.
Lot
and
of
lots
fur.
of hair. But
Lot
the
of
thing,
fur.
they love the cold. So first winter we were here with them, it's 20 below one morning. And I'm like, these dogs going to be okay? Because I said to Spence the night before, shouldn't we, put a little heater in the barn or something, a heat lamp? He says, no. We go out that morning, 20 below. They're laying in the pasture, loving life. And it's
crazy.
It's nuts. Yeah. Yeah. So they're
That's
good.
crazy.
Yeah. What else is on your mind?
Well, I'm just finishing up on the chickens.
Yeah.
Do you?
Do you love chickens?
I used
Okay.
to. They all got eaten. But can you taste the difference between grocery store
Yes.
eggs and your eggs?
100%.
Okay.
In fact, I've got a picture on my phone that someone sent me. It was actually Spencer's mom, and she had boiled some eggs to make deviled eggs, and she had cut them in half, and she put them side by side. And ours are bright orange, right? The things she got at Hannaford or wherever it was, don't mean to pick on Hannaford, but they weren't. They were a pale yellow. And the difference is striking, and the flavor is so different. So I'd encourage everybody, buy local farm eggs. They might cost you a couple bucks more, but you spread that across 12 eggs, what is it, an extra dime a piece, maybe 15 cents? Well worth it. Well worth it.
And supporting local.
Absolutely. Supporting local is huge. And, I think we don't do enough of that, and there are too many things in the way of getting small farm products to market, right? there's always something in the way. So there's a USDA rule, there's a distribution rule, there's this, there's that. And if there's one thing that I think we really need to do, it's sort of free up the markets a little bit for the small farms. But there are entrenched entities that don't want us to have that freedom. And they have particular names that you'd recognize from the grocery store. So, you know, I'll keep working on that. I've tried it here, and I've got some partners in our house. And I think anything we can do to open up markets is good.
No, and I think, you know, locally grown is always really good. I mean, I've heard about, you know,
healthier.
Absolutely healthier.
Yeah.
Was it honey? Local
Yeah.
honey
It's the
has like
best.
allergens in it that
Right.
helps you with that. I know we have a local farmer's farm stand, La Valley's in Hooksett. Always busy. And
Yeah.
to be honest, I haven't tried Senator Howard Pearl's corn, but I
You
love
should
their
go.
corn. I love
Yeah.
their corn. So
Check it out.
But it's not that much more. I think it's
Yeah.
like, you know, 30 cents an ear.
Yeah.
Don't quote me. But
But it's so much better.
It
right?
is.
And it's better for the environment. I mean, a lot of the stuff, you buy apples, right? They're probably coming from Washington State, maybe upstate New York, but probably Washington State, Wenatchee, and that whole area. You know, buy them here. Buy them here. They're going to be better for you. Go pick them with your family. Have a good time. Support the local farms. Because farming is a part of New Hampshire's fabric and culture going way back, and we've lost too many of them. It's a hard place to be a farmer. You can't really grow stuff. You know, in Ohio, you watch the morning news, they've got, you know, pork belly futures and all this other stuff on.
Sure.
You throw a seed out your window in Ohio, it grows. Here, it's a little different. So I think, you know, you've got to focus on those things where you can really add value. That's why we're in Wagyu, right? It's relatively high margin. It's a specialty product. And I think that's the place where you succeed. And that's sort of been my business philosophy, right? At the inns and the hotel, we were unique. We were special, nothing like us. And that's what we're trying to do with our farm. Unique, special, nothing like us.
and where do you sell your products?
We sell our eggs through the Concord Co-op for the most part. Sometimes here in
nice.
Concord, always in New London.
Okay.
Occasionally we sell them at Yankee Farmers Market in Warner. Those are great people. If you want good bison, go there. You know, we sell to them. And for a while, we were selling to a couple of other markets when we had a few more birds. We had 400 last year, and we were cranking out the eggs, and it was a good time to be doing it. But what I learned with chickens, going back to you, is that
a chicken show.
if you get too many of them, it's like Manhattan, right? They're all packed in, and they act a little crazy.
Henpecked, yeah.
Yeah. If you trim down the flock and you get to the city of Manchester, they're well behaved. The eggs are better. Everybody's happier, including us. So we trimmed it back to about 150 birds, and that's the right spot for us. So we're getting, you know, 12 dozen eggs a day at $5 a pop wholesale. It's working out nicely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
What
a
about
lot
the
of work.
beef?
The beef will go to market starting next month. Yeah, the first one will go.
And where we sell it through the co-op as well?
Initially, believe it or not, we're going to sell probably the first animal to a restaurant in Philadelphia. It's a friend of mine, and he wants to feature our farm at his restaurant.
Nice.
And I
great.
think it's a brilliant idea. He wants pictures. He wants everything. He also wants our eggs so he can complete the picture. And that's fascinating. So
You are a brilliant marketer, huh?
Yeah.
you just
My
talk to
goodness.
everyone. Eventually, you'll say, hell yeah, we can do that. But, you know, I'm not a brilliant marketer. I'm a nuts and bolts guy. I don't know. I guess I'm pretty good at it. But it's really just about paying attention to your customer and trying to understand what they need. And he runs a great restaurant, a specialty restaurant where he is, and we just fit that. So, you know, we're just out having drinks one night 'cause we're friends. He works at UNH part-time. And he says, hey, you know, you guys going to have beef for me? And there you go. Whole thing takes off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he'll have our first one. And it's $40 a pound wholesale on average, and you get 500 pounds out of each animal. So it's an investment. It takes them 3 years to get to maturity, whereas other animals, a Hereford or Angus, much, much shorter. So that's one of the reasons it costs more. It's just you put more into it, more time into it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Question of going back to UNH a little bit. As a mom of someone about to go to college next year, and,
Send her.
another one who's spent a little time there. But what is it? Because obviously there's a high cost in state, and I don't want to get into politics. But what would you recommend for people, for parents like us? You know, why should they consider UNH?
Yeah. UNH is one of the best schools in the Northeast. And if she's interested in business, UNH is the top public business school in New England. and it's probably a top 60 in the United States at this point, out of 1,200 schools. So, we've built that business college into something amazing. So if she's interested in business, I'll take her on the tour. We'll get her in there. And anyone listening, if you've got someone who wants to come to UNH in business, I'm in. I'll help you out, and we'll do the tour. I'll show you what we've got. But you look across all of our programs. We have amazing faculty, and they're really focused on making the students better. There are certain disciplines that, might be a little harder to find a job than others, but it's interesting because we're seeing students go in different directions right now when it comes to education. And they're coming more to business. The business program had a big increase in enrollment this year. The other programs at UNH did not. They were either flat, maybe slightly down. And part of that's demographics. But I also think it's part of Gen Z saying, look, I got to make some money because houses are expensive, everything's expensive, and life's gotten tough. So I'm going to pick a discipline now where I can go get a job. Not art history, nothing wrong with that, but you've got to be pragmatic and say, all right. So I'll go back to my son. He came to UNH as a music performance major. Kid is a brilliant artist. And I said to him his freshman year, Ben, maybe you ought to think about minor in business. Yeah, whatever, Dad. So junior year, he comes into my office at UNH and he says, Dad, I've decided to be a business minor. I'm like, yeah, that's good thinking. How'd you come up with that idea? I don't know, it just made sense. So, I was pretty happy. Not only did he do that, but he got an MBA and then a PhD in business, right? Wow. So I guess my point here is, look, if you really love art history, that's great. Get an MBA after that degree, right? You can go run an art gallery. You can run a museum. You'll have that skill set to do it. So I would say to your son or daughter, whoever it is, which is it? Did I miss that?
I both.
Oh, both? Okay. I would say find the discipline you love at UNH. Do that. You can always get a business minor. That'll shore up your credentials. But you can also get that MBA. And we offer a 1-year MBA at UNH after your undergraduate degree.
Oh, I didn't
you
know
take
that.
a bunch of courses in the summer to kind of get that basic business, and then you launch into the program, and you're out of there pretty quick. And economically, it's a great program. We also do a hybrid MBA. You can be online. You can be in person. You can do one or the other. And it's a great program. Yeah. I love UNH. I really do.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm passionate about it.
Well, just to, kind of wrap things up here, you talked a lot about part of your philosophy in life and everything is to help make people happy.
Yeah.
And I think you've done a pretty good job. I mean,
leave the world better than you found it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is it about New Hampshire that makes you the happiest?
Our freedom, our small government, and the fact that we all accept personal responsibility, right? New Hampshire is somewhat unique in a lot of ways. Really, the values of this state don't fit New England anymore, right? We've become sort of a safe haven for all those folks in other states who have a higher tax burden and fewer freedoms. And that's a great place to be. But, I look back to my home state of Ohio, which is, pretty similar. It's very similar to New Hampshire. I think that's why I'm so at home here. But there's just so much to love about this state. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I look out the window at the beauty of this place, and you can't help but smile, right? The people you meet on the streets. So they have that New England reserve. Sometimes you got to chip through that reserve to get to the real person, but we have the best people here. They're smart, they pay attention, they're informed, and that's not true everywhere. But you can get to everybody here. And I'll go back to John Lynch as governor, being bipartisan here. I called John back in 2008, I think it was. And I was dean of the business school at UNH at the time, but it just started. And I called the governor's office. And I get, the person. She says, hold on just a minute. 3 seconds later, hello, Dan, it's John Lynch. You're like, what? Yeah. I'm actually talking to the governor? Yeah. That is the best thing ever. I have people in my district who stop at the house to talk to me. Yeah. And that's what we're about. That's probably the best thing. We're a small state, and we know one another, we respect one another, and we serve one another. And I love that. I love this state. I truly do.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair.
I'm so happy to be here. And I'll tell you, when I was up at UMaine for 5 years, I used to look down and say, why can't I be there?
Yeah.
Well, here we are. So let's go.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, Senator Dan Innis, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute blast. I've loved the Hennigans. A few people probably got that,
Yeah.
but the Hennigans is the way to go, right?
What do you mean? This is just water.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, and I know that you will continue to do your best to make everybody happy and
to do the right thing. And I think that's what matters. You know, we've got to be responsible fiscally, and we're doing that. And I think the people of New Hampshire want that, whether you're a Democrat, or Republican, or independent. People just, you know, they respect what we do for the most part, and we're always trying to do the right thing. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it definitely was. Very interesting. I love talking about the chickens in the Pyrenees.
Well, let's do it again. We'll deal with your chicken love. And I'll tell you one more thing before we go.
No, keep going.
It's amazing how many people bring you chicken gifts once you have chickens. We've got a doorstop that's a chicken this high, right? We've got another little chicken that sits on top of some dresser, and a chicken light, and chicken cups, and chicken mugs, and yeah.
Nice decor,
And chicken poo.
Yeah.
which is good for the garden.
It's great for the garden. If anyone needs manure, just call us up. We'll get you set. All right.
That's great.
All right.
Thank you again,
Yeah.
Senator. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that wraps it up for this edition of
Anything but politics.
And we're so pleased that you could join us. Thank you so much for downloading and listening, and hope you'll come back and tune in again.
Yeah. See you next time.